if you are experiencing an itch to make change or an itch to get back, or your life has changed in which you need to get back, or you want to get back, or your mind has changed and you're craving more stimulation.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of Peace and Plenty in 20. I'm your host, Janine Deramo, midlife coach. Today, I have two incredible women joining us. Marissa and Jamie are the dynamic sister team behind the Dreamcatchers. For almost 20 years, they co-ran, the fashion and media division of their family staffing firm in New York City, getting all of this info and expertise in what hiring managers are looking for and how job seekers should position themselves. Marissa's early career path was in the beauty and fashion industry. She had a business and marketing degree from the University of Richmond, and Jamie had a communications degree from the University of Michigan. And the two of them in 2020 formally launched the Dreamcatchers as a career strategy firm. And they created this signature method, the Dreamcatcher method, and brought their hands-on, compassionate, with tough love kind of style to help people navigate job transitions. And that could be midlife women like us, and it could also be younger people just getting jobs. It could be anyone at any age. So regardless of where you stand, if you're a midlife woman thinking of a career pivot, or maybe you're a mom trying to figure out how much to step in or step back as your kids are kind of figuring out their own path, Marissa and Jamie are the coaching experts, and they have such heart behind what they do. And today you're going to hear all about how they can help you lean into your next chapter, or potentially help your children navigate this very different career landscape from when some of us were looking. So without further ado, let's jump right in. My first question is, knowing the set of women that are listening to my show and watching my show, there's two things going on for us, right? We're making our own transitions potentially, and we're also navigating our children who are growing up and entering into their own careers. So my first question is going to be the former. Both of you have been through this pivot, not necessarily in midlife, but you've been through it. I just have been through it. What would you say to any women that are now, let's say in their 30s, 40s, 50s even, that are looking to make a shift and feeling like they're so out of it, quote unquote, they don't really know how to re-enter this world? What would be your advice to them?
Starting from the top. I think Jamie and I are very big on tailoring our prescription, if you will, to each individual. But if we're going to lump everyone that's in transition together, there is no good time to get started, and there is no bad time to get started. So if you are experiencing an itch to make change, or an itch to get back, or your life has changed in which you need to get back, or you want to get back, or your mind has changed and you're craving more stimulation, and or there is never going to be a good time. Okay? A lot of women, when they are broaching this moment, will put every single boulder in the way of anything, whether it's going back and working at the yoga studio to going back and working with their legal degree. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the level of job. Women tend to interrupt their own flow of success and creativity. So what Jamie and I try to do is get in there and unpack who they were before they were moms. Um,
Yep.
and who they were before they were in this chapter if they're not moms, because it's not always a mom.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, this is also for men. But what we
Right.
try to do is strip away the crap and get to the nitty gritty. There's David. Hey, David.
Hi.
Um, it's Janine from high school, and her audience, and Jamie. And so what we try to do is strip back and get to what it is that we're talking about,
Right.
and we step away from the what do I have to do? How will I get childcare? How will my kids get anywhere if I go back to work? They're so focused on the seventh step that they don't know how to take the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So each person needs to be able to take that first one. Like I have a client, a soon to be client right now, who we met in person. She's a friend. We met her in person. She won't see this, so she won't know that I'm calling her out. We met her in person indirectly in August. She has moved her initial consultation with us, her free consultation, thrice.
Yeah.
And we're not speaking to her until end of November because a woman does not prioritize their own needs and wants first.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think, to piggyback on that, one of the things we have always kind of coached and preached, even when we were recruiters, but now that we're job search strategists or however you want to kind of bucket us, we really truly believe that there are ways to get back to the things that made us happy before this phase. So we're always talking about to people about what they originally wanted to be when they grew up, what their superpowers are, what their skills are, because likely they're using those skills in ways that they don't even realize are marketable. And so whether it's as a volunteer or in another part-time job or at home, and there are ways to be creative to present those ideas on paper, on a resume, on a LinkedIn profile, during an interview. But more importantly, it's empowering them to realize that they can do that and that it's okay that they haven't worked in however many years or whatever the case is, because usually it's that they're kind of roadblocked by that thought process, like, oh, I'm not marketable anymore, none of this is relevant, I've been out for so long, or I want to make a change and I want to do something totally different and I haven't done any of those things and nothing I've done is relevant. So one of the things I will say is that we will constantly remind our clients to you're constantly saying it's not relevant or that's not relevant anymore. And I'll say back to them, to whom? How do we know? How do we
Mm-hmm.
know that's not relevant to somebody? We don't, because we don't know who's going to be reading it. We don't know what their mood is. We don't know if they also went to the same school as you or also used to dance growing up, or all the things that we try to pull out of people to realize that they can actually be really marketable. And that's a lot of the work that we end up doing with them.
Yeah, and I think that that's so important because you're right. When you're kind of living in your bubble every day, and with if you're in a community that maybe is not, or your friends, the people that surround you are not understanding of everything you're saying, they might agree with you, right? Like, yeah, you're not marketable. You're out. I get it. I get it.
Right.
And
And
keep you stuck.
yes, they will keep you stuck because you need to have people in your corner that see opportunity and are not afraid of moving obstacles to get to it. So for
Yep.
Jamie and I, obviously we're sisters, but we were raised in very similar professional cultures and also in the same household. And we don't understand the word no. Some of it's a problem, which is not for this podcast, or this particular episode of the show. But no doesn't mean anything to me. No means what can I do to make it yes? That's
Yep.
what I hear.
Yeah.
So what I do with somebody is I listen to where they are. A lot of the stuff that we just talked about, and by the way, and I'm not just saying this to be hokey, what Jamie and I do through the Dreamcatchers is professional self-care.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're doing. Like if
100%.
you want to use the acai bowl word for this moment, it's self-care, right? But it's professional self-care. And career and who you are and the impact you make in society really does define you. It
Mm-hmm.
does, whether we want to admit it or not. A lot of the stuff that we dig through at the beginning and this is digging way back to that one sociology class or that one psych class I took in college. It's ego. And our ego is there to protect us. She
Doesn't
loves
want to change.
us and she cockblocks us. Sorry if that's not allowed.
You're
So
allowed.
much, right?
No change,
You don't want
right?
to
Brain is
fail. You
like
don't
trying
want
to
to be
keep you safe.
embarrassed.
Right,
You don't
right.
want the neighbors thinking that you're whatever. What are your parents going to say? What are your kids' parents, friends, blah, blah, blah. Oh, where is she going? Who does she think she is? Blah, right?
On repeat.
On repeat. So a lot of what we cut through is that, which is systematically our way of getting around the blocks. And then of course our course of action is different for each person because as I mentioned before, you could have been an attorney and you're not practicing now what? Or you could have been a COO or a CMO or a CFO and you had to take a step back because I mean, we're not going to get into all the semantics of women, men, blah, 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 parenting. If your kids are 15 to 20 right now, you had a lot of different choices, or you didn't have nearly the amount of parenting choices and career choices as people that have an 8-year-old right now.
So true.
So
So
if you
true.
had an hour commute and a 6-figure job and 3 little kids, you left.
That was it. Exactly.
That was it. You
Black
didn't have
or
a
white.
choice.
That was it. You left. And
Yep.
by the way,
one of the reasons I joined my family business is that happened to me. The
Yeah.
flexibility,
the cut of flexibility is
the
somewhere around a
flexibility to
13-year-old
be a
right now.
working parent was just so different, even 13 years ago when I was pregnant with my son. Like there was no such thing as a job share or like working from home. And, obviously we are in a totally different environment post-COVID. And that was really what pushed this business forward was people needing our help, looking to go back to work post-COVID. That's where this business began
Yes.
because it was a lot of our peers and friends and their kids and their neighbors that were trying to redefine what it meant to look for work in a post-COVID world.
Yeah. And to that point about, to the women listening that are feeling that one of the things that you guys do, and I know this because I've heard you do it with Ava. So not only do you do it with women, or men in midlife, but also my 20-year-old listening to you guys. This is the part that was fascinating and highlighting the shift that we were just talking about. We had to like show up at an office and walk in and introduce ourselves, right? I think Marissa, you said like we'd like literally look through the yellow pages. It is such a different world, and our generation doesn't even really know how different the job market looks, what to do, how you can network now. And I think that's the beauty of what you guys do. So share with us briefly, as briefly as you can. I want women that are listening to be like, well, I wouldn't even know where to start. Tell them what you do and just some examples, maybe either of clients or what you do that would look so different to them that they'd be like, huh, I didn't even know that that was a different way to go. Or I didn't even know that that was, wow, maybe this is something I should look into. Am I making sense in my question?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I want Jamie's going to answer this. But I want to keep it simple I do want to keep it simple and kind of almost one-dimensional for this particular show because I don't want to overwhelm anyone. Okay.
Totally.
I just need you to know, and then Jamie's going to tell you the whole soliloquy. Okay. Because that's her mic pitch. But I just want to say this. I have listened over 20 years to every single possible professional story. There is nothing I haven't heard.
Yeah.
There is no roadblock I have not witnessed, seen, supported, and helped someone transition through. So the reason why we are good at what we do is because nothing shocks us. And we can guide anyone out of anywhere. Okay. Yeah. And I mean it. If it was above my pay grade, I would say so. I've even spoken to a room of neurosurgeons that were looking to retire and do something else.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That was, by the way, other than speaking to the 7th grade in my elementary school, not our elementary school, but this one here. other than speaking to the 7th grade, the most challenging thing I've ever done professionally is walk into Mount Sinai and speak to a room full of neurosurgeons that were looking to do something different when they came to a course of retirement. That was intimidating, and I still did it because the truth is they have a lot to offer. And just because one phase of life is over does not mean that life is over. Because God help us all, we are supposed to be living our fullest until the end. Okay, so Jamie, go ahead and mic drop our system and what makes us different.
Yeah. And I think, first and foremost, obviously you can see this, but we're sisters, which is a big selling point for whatever the reason to a lot of people. They like that we work together. We're two halves of the same whole. Marissa's a little bit more intuitive and I'm a little bit more operational, which is why we do this well together. We've been working together for I was with her 13 years at the agency and now 5 since. We've been working together for a long time, almost 2 decades.
Don't do the math.
Don't do that. But we were both trained in recruitment, which I think is a really important thing to say. Okay. A lot of people that transition into resume writing or job coaching or career coaching or job search strategy or whatever you want to call us, which I'm going to explain how we're different, tend to come from different backgrounds that like they had a bad experience perhaps when submitting a resume somewhere and they decided to start a business writing resumes, and all the power to them. I love that for everyone. The reason why Marissa and I are different is because we came from recruitment, which I think makes it very unique when you start to research people that can help you, that we were on the receiving end of said resume, of said application, of the interview process for our entire careers, essentially. We also both started out in something not in recruitment. And we were those typical kids that went to a school that didn't necessarily know exactly how to find the job when they came out. Marissa went to Richmond, a small business school. I went to Michigan, a huge public institution. Both came out similar in a world, again, not doing the math, where we had to hustle. We were printing resumes, putting them into manila envelopes and like hoping for the best, and, like, waiting. And if I followed up on an application, it was calling a front desk of a company at 21, 22 years old, being like, hey, did you get my application? Can you help me? But then spent our entire careers essentially navigating the nuances of the digital networking age. Okay. So combining those two things, I think, is what makes our magic, right?
Our older millennial, younger Gen X hustle culture
mixed with the digital age of job search and recruitment. So I think those two things combined help us stand out, because a lot of our peers, as you mentioned, Janine, not to age ourselves, don't even know how to help our kids do 100%. This because we never had to do this.
And
right?
Everything that they say feels like they're being a boomer.
Yeah, and
nothing feels relevant.
Yeah. And then the kid rejects them, and it's a strife between the parent and the child. And I think one of the reasons that we've begun working very closely and passionately with the next generation, if you will, of job seekers, and we're passionate about working with a sophomore in college, a junior, a senior, new grad, is because, first of all, we were them, and we were just like them coming out of school, not necessarily being either laser focused on one industry or not really knowing exactly what we wanted to do, and not really being able to figure out with either way. So one of the things, essentially how we built this business, was helping anyone that was looking for a job figure out the steps of how to get it. Okay. For years, we did the placement side, which is what recruitment is on the staffing side, which is what our family business was and what we did. We no longer are placing people at jobs. What we now are doing, and why we call ourselves job search strategists, is we are trying to empower anyone at any level that is looking for work to figure out how to get that job on their own.
Right.
From figuring out what it is, to writing a resume that reflects it, to create that it will then also, by the way, not get caught by a gatekeeper, like essentially like having all those keywords there so that the computers that are looking won't miss you by accident. All of those nuances to job search that make it overwhelming. Like the amount of people that come to us with a resume that doesn't have a skills section. Okay. The skills section, if nothing else, is a catch-all for the things you know how to do on a computer.
Right.
If you do not say you know how to do Microsoft Excel and the job is looking for you to do Excel, you will get skipped by accident.
Right.
Because you know you can do Excel, but you're not writing that. Okay.
Right.
Little things like that we don't think about as laymen to ensure are on our resumes at any level. Then we move into we decide what you want to do through the intuition step of like, what is it that you even want to be doing? What are your superpowers? What did you want to do when you grew up? Those types of questions we talked about earlier. Resume, LinkedIn, and then the overall networking process, which is extremely daunting for people. Don't know how to look this way. And what you said at the beginning in your question is, what are we doing that's different? Because by the way, none of these things are things you can't do on your own. But sometimes, like any other industry that is a service, right? We need to hire professional help sometimes.
Yeah,
okay?
you need the support.
And one of the things that Marissa and I are super passionate about doing is creating a business that is no longer a nice to have, but a need to have. Okay. There are many industries that are nice to haves, right? We have a little extra money in the bank. We might hire a housekeeper because we can clean our own house, but like they do it better, or a personal trainer because they want to go to the gym and really make, see results. But there are other industries that within reason we rely on always. Like you don't necessarily change your own oil in the car, right? You're not necessarily dyeing your own hair. You can, but most people do not, right? That is what we're trying to teach people. You do not need to look for work alone. There are people out there like Marissa and me that have made a business out of helping people from the beginning until they're working, from interview prep, job search, job offer negotiation, all of it. Okay. The reason why we're passionate about working with you younger is because, like anything else that you're trying to change, if we try to reach these kids at a younger age and teach them the right habits, hopefully by 25, 35, 45, they will remember the nuances that we've taught them. Now, granted, obviously things will change, but they will have that innate hustle culture that we teach them how to use when it comes to navigating this abyss that is LinkedIn and networking and figuring out all of the above. So the piece that I like to kind of end with is we try to remind people to go back to who they are when they're networking. So many people say to me, I'll never get an interview at that company. Like my dream job is to work at Sephora, corporate. And they look on Sephora's website, they don't see anything open that is relevant, and then they move on, right? What about we look up Sephora and we see that somebody works there in corporate that went to your college?
That's right.
Like, let's reach out to them. And it's like a mind blown, like I never thought to do that. Why would I reach out to somebody? We're spending all this money to send our kids to these places, and they're coming out with no plan.
Yep.
And that's not their fault. They don't know how to do it. And the shame on the schools. And maybe I shouldn't say that, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
These parents are sending their kids to these incredible universities and colleges that are touting their, graduation rates and where their alumni are landing, but they're not necessarily tactiling, like handling how to do that with these kids on a one-on-one basis. And that's what we're doing.
And by the way, I also think what's happened is our generation, for better or for worse, because of this, we are so involved with our children
because we're accessible to them.
Yes.
That's right.
And that you get
Constantly.
to a point where all of a sudden, here you've led your child the whole way, whether we meant to helicopter, maybe because none of it was intentional a lot of the times.
We're all doing the best we can, right?
We all did what we could. We're using the phones too. So, normal.
And how many times a day you're like, I never even had this. Like when my kid's calling me and I'm like, I wasn't able to like call my mom and be like,
no,
can you
I would
put money on my Dunkin' app? Like what?
Totally.
No.
We called collect. The operator would pick up and be like, Mommy, I'm stuck here. Pick me up. Click.
Yeah.
And
don't accept, just come get me.
Literally, right?
So true.
So here's the thing. What the job search world at any level is a probability and an energy game.
Yeah.
Most people do not talk about job search that way. I do because I'm spiritual and mystical and a lot of other things.
Yep.
But to me, the more you're putting in, the more good energy you're putting in, the more you're going to get out. Okay. These kids are going, and by the way, this is, like I said, these kids are going to these schools, and the parents have now done everything in the world for these children, shown up, paid college counselors, I don't know, 10 grand.
SAT prep, essay writer.
10 grand is a good deal.
Yeah, 10 grand. Gets them
Thousands of
into school,
dollars.
decorates their room, sorority talk, the whole TikTok, the whole thing. And
Rush
you know
talk,
what?
yeah.
They got tired. And now get a job. Now they're done.
And don't know,
like washing their hands of it.
Yeah, and like
And-
parents are like, you figure it out. And now they're like, the kid's like, and the other thing I wanted to
And
say
by the
about
way, this is the part, hold on, this is the part your child needs the most help with.
exactly. Out of all of it, right? The
Out
irony
of
of
all
that.
the things.
the irony. And I think one of the reasons why we've been successful, not that this is like about us necessarily, but is because the more we have this conversation, it's like every single person is like, oh my God, yes, please just help my kid. Because as we all know as parents, we'll do anything to help our kid.
Of course.
And also, this is a very toxic, very critical frustration between a parent and a child with distance between them, between sophomore, junior, and senior year. It immediately goes to a level of frustration, even when the child is doing all the right things.
Right.
Even when your child is not sucking.
One of the things I wanted to say,
can't they get anything?
one
You
of
know,
the
and
things
they're
I wanted
listening,
to
you know,
say
go ahead.
quickly is that our favorite mantra, we have many, is network most when you need it the least. Okay. So what we try to do is empower any job seeker at any age, at any stage of career. It is not about applying to jobs and waiting. That is a reactive approach. Okay.
That's right.
If we are applying to jobs that we see online, as we should, we are oftentimes too late. Okay. Because those jobs have been open sometimes, depending on the company, for weeks. They then have to post it. They then have to do, you know, all sorts of compliance. You don't necessarily think about what's going on at a company. I was in HR at a company for years that had to do the posting. So like once you're seeing a job listed on LinkedIn, say, you might be too late. So our approach is building a network for you from sophomore year of college on, right? Essentially. That you are networking with strategic people that do what you want ish, that work
what you think you want ish,
that maybe went to your college, that
for now, right?
For now, that maybe are from your town, whatever it is, that aren't just your dad's golf buddy that works at a bank and you're like, you know what, I guess I'll go work for him as an intern. Like, that's not the dream job. Now, granted, I'm not saying every job's going to be the dream job, but the reason why we call ourselves the Dreamcatchers is we truly believe in our hearts that everyone can get closer to that dream job if they approach it this way. That's how we believe, what we believe. And
the mental health component of trying to do work that mimics who you are at your highest self.
That's right.
Right? So if you have the ability to get, and by the way, interestingly enough, our highest selves existed at 16 and 17.
Yeah.
We just couldn't see or know what to do
Couldn't
with
tap
them.
into that. That's
yes.
right.
If you look back at yourself, and I'm speaking now to our peers,
not to be like all inner child, but
you know exactly who you were.
Yeah.
We all were that person. You grow up, you age, but you're not that different. So your wisdom comes through, but you're still you in here, right?
Right.
So the point is to tap into that and try to use your highest gifts earlier so that when you are making your mark in the world, you're bringing light into the world in whatever way that is the most impactful that you can do for you.
But also,
and we try to get there.
If it's later and you're like, oh, I missed it, you know what I mean? That's one of the reasons we're really passionate about working with any age group, even though obviously it has become a big part of our business working with the new grads and college students. You know, a mom that's looking to go back to work is that same vulnerability, if you think about it, trying to quote unquote start out again, that a 20-year-old student is. Yes. Because they feel like their resume doesn't have anything relevant on it anymore, or it's been so long. Why would I put like something I did in college on my resume? Like, it's so long ago. Who cares?
You still did it.
You did it.
And what we do is help you rebrand, repackage, and retrain your own narrative so that when you walk into a room, you sound as confident as I do.
Yeah.
Right? Now, granted, So what I was gonna say, and now of course I lost my train of thought because that's what happens at middle age.
But it is, but I can fill in where it'll hopefully come back. Is that's really the bulk of the work. Yes, it's very tactile what we do. It's transactional, right? It's the new resume, the new LinkedIn. When people are like, "Oh, do you know a resume writer?" I'm not saying a resume writer can't help you. I think they're great. We don't call ourselves resume writers. We write resumes though, but with you. We work on it together. It's collaborative. We want you to feel like you have support in all of those bullets. We help you figure out what it is that you really should say in those bullets and why.
Because people need to be in the driver's seat.
You're going to be the one that goes on that interview. Like,
and they need to be aligned with who they are. And this is where the intersection of our work comes, and the coaching that I do with women is because everything you're saying resonates so much with me, because you need to get back to who you truly are, right? You need, if you are able to be aware of your character strengths, if you know yourself, and it takes work to do that and takes time to do that. But what you guys are doing is really like digging in there. Let's figure out like, what is it that really sets your soul on fire? What is it that you're good at? Like, let's find the intersection of those things. And now let's start. You guys are so creative with like what's out there in the job world. And they also have to be coached, to have a growth mindset and be open-minded, right? And to then be able to come to you when they're ready, or you do some of that work too, some of that coaching, then let's look at that. And then the possibility, I think you guys also present possibilities that they didn't even know existed.
1,000%.
Right?
Because a lot of things from real world do not translate in the classroom. That was no different in 1995, 2005, 2015, 2025. So, if you happen to be great at finance, I might know 10 other jobs that you could use with numbers. That doesn't mean you have to work at JP Morgan. Okay. Yeah. So I do want to make sure I say something that's it is my most positive, freeing statement, but it feels like a slap and a hug at the same time. For anyone out there right now that has a senior in college that does not want to work in law, finance, consulting, accounting, pharma, pre-med, the chances of them being employed before graduation is the following.
Yeah.
0.
Yeah.
Okay. They are not going to have a job in May. And this is not because I'm being negative. It is because they are only going to be a kid for 5 more minutes.
Right.
And they cannot compete with the noise around them, with people that are going for JP Morgan recruitment, if that's not who they are or what they want to do.
Right.
So, by the way, going back in time, and the reason why I'm doing my highest work right now, or my best self work, is this is literally who I was. Right. This was my struggle. I went to one of the best schools in the country, liberal arts with a focused business program, recognized by LinkedIn as one of the top 50 schools for career placement. When I wanted to work in marketing, I wanted to work in beauty. And Richmond, go Spiders, they wanted me to work at Capital One.
Right.
And I was like, no.
Yeah.
Okay. And I had every single connection in the world. My father owned a staffing firm. I literally was on an island wanting to work in beauty by myself.
Yeah.
Granted, I did work in beauty for a short minute, and then I ended up working in fashion. We're not going to tell my sad story that made me who I am today. My disappointing career story that ended up being my beautiful story, right?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
But the point is that I had to go out and get it, and I had the connections, and I went to the right school.
Mm-hmm.
So it's for all of those people, by the way, just for the record, our current clients, these are not kids that are lost. There is no stigma here. Right. We are working with kids that are at Auburn. We are working with kids that are at JMU. We are working with kids that are Michigan, Fordham, Villanova.
Yep.
What else, Jamie?
Clemson, Tulane,
Marist,
Alabama, Marist. I mean,
now, granted, I will say the SEC kids, this is a fact. The SEC kids, I know it's fun. They have their challenge getting back to the East Coast. Yeah. This is real.
I can imagine that. I can
They're
imagine
going to
that.
recruit you for Birmingham. They're going to recruit you for
Yeah.
New Orleans. They're going to recruit you for Texas. But if you want to come back home, it's going to be harder.
Yeah. And I think I just want to jump in here because I'm thinking, I'm thinking about Ava, who you guys have worked with and are working with, and it's so helpful. And, she is the kind of kid that is intuitive and knows what she wants to do. But there are a lot of kids that, oh, shoot, sorry. There are a lot of kids that, just like I was saying about women our age and knowing who you are and knowing what you want, I think it's also important that those kids know that. And because I think a lot of them are just going through the motions, right? And I have to get this internship. I have to, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I also think it's important that the piece that you guys offer that's missing there is that insight into, okay, yes, I want to get a job, but I also have all these things that I'm good at. I'm just saying,
But I
like,
don't
in
know how to
terms of,
package it.
right,
Yes,
how
packaging
do
it.
I put
And
that
also one of the
together
By the
things,
way,
for more
you're not
opportunities?
supposed to know what you want to be when you
and
grow
I
up
think
when you're 17.
I
Right.
also
The
think
fact that they're claiming and they're picking colleges and saying their majors on
It's
social
crazy.
media.
It's
What?
crazy.
crazy.
But what we can do at 17, what we can do at 19 is get closer to who we are so that
Yes.
we can figure
That's
out
the
what
point.
jobs exist that matter to who we are.
That's
And
right.
that you can. So if you don't know what your dream job is, congratulations, you're normal.
Yes. And
Congratulations.
I have a current senior. I haven't even chatted with you guys about this yet. She is, and she doesn't know. And I'm telling her that that's okay. The pressure, so they have the pressure around them though. She goes to a very highly respected private school, that has, like, we have 84% Ivy League acceptances. She's not necessarily that kid. She's more creative. So she doesn't even know. So right now, and my husband and I are supportive of this, like, that's fine. Apply to FIT, LIM, also apply to Alabama, also apply to Marist. Like, she's all over the place, but I am
Don't
supportive of
don't
that.
forget Savannah College Art and Design.
Oh, she is. We went there.
Yep.
Amazing.
Amazing.
So we are, and I never would have done this with Ava. I'm admitting this right now because that's your first. And I'm like, this is what we have to do. Like, with her, it's more like I'm learning, like, you know what? I want you to look at all the opportunities. And again, by the way, wherever she winds up, she might change. And I'm trying to be open and supportive about that. But I think the most important thing right now is I keep having these conversations and questions for her about what do you want to do? What feels, and by the way, you don't have to know right now, but let's just start to have these conversations. And then PS, even if it's, and I don't know if I should be saying this or what you guys feel about this. Like, I even said to her, if you're not ready, why
Take the
don't you
gap year.
go
ahead.
intern? She loves, like, go intern for real estate, or go to Bergen Community. Like, I feel like it's important that people recognize there are other options out there from the cookie cutter, like,
Yes.
what we're supposed to do. And I don't know what your take is on that, but that's just how I'm feeling personally.
I think mom, granted we always do better with our second kids. But I think mom,
And third, she's on her own. I'm
yeah,
like, good luck. Fill
whatever.
out your
We'll just leave her
application.
on the street. She'll be fine. So here's the thing. Your approach there is 1000% accurate. And that's coming from an
Thank you.
expert. Like, I don't have
Yeah.
degrees in anything. So here's the thing, girls and crew. I don't have degrees. I just have frontline experience.
Right.
Right? So I am certified in this life, in this dialogue of life.
Yeah.
And to me, as long as you can honor your truth, your interests, the things you're naturally good at. Like,
Yes.
here's a sentence. Why are we taking honors calculus when we don't like math?
Right.
Why are we doing that?
Right.
Is it because you want to go to the school that has a business program? Okay, that makes sense.
Exactly.
But if you
What's the
don't want,
purpose?
right, well,
Right.
try to support your children with making purposeful, supportive
Intentional.
decisions, intentional, mindful decisions, rather than noisy, reactive decisions. That's
Yep.
all you can do to help guide them.
Yeah, like, for
Okay?
example, like for the internship conversation, we have this a lot with parents. And I'll say this because I want the whole audience to hear me, whoever's hearing this. just because your kid doesn't get the internship at like Macy's doesn't mean they can't get a great internship.
Right.
So Marissa and I, when we worked at Choice at our staffing agency, we hired an intern every summer. You think it was like a internship program that I found the person in November? No. So one of the things that we want to educate people on about jobs, about internships, is that the experience is what matters. Sure, like as parents, we want our kids to get that Macy's internship because then they'll get hired at graduation. We're working with a couple students right now that did that internship and didn't get the offer to come back because there was a hiring freeze. So none of this is written. We have to just do what's good for us and our soul. So like at the end of the day, sometimes the internship in fashion or media or creative or social media could be at a tiny agency that has 5 people at it.
Yeah.
You actually might get a better experience as an intern there than you would at the large firm, right?
100%.
How do we find that? Because so many of our clients then give up on the internship and go back and just lifeguard or babysit, which by the way is awesome also. I'm not saying it's not, but there are ways to get an internship and then market those internships.
Right.
Somewhere for 1 week.
That's 1 week more than you did before.
Absolutely.
We can still say June 2025 to August 2025. No one's going to be like, what weeks of June and July and August did you work there? I'm not saying to lie, but you worked there the summer of 25.
Right.
Enough.
So that's enough. And then go off and do your camp counselor gig or go off and be your lifeguard. And that's okay because you
or
got
bartender, waitress, or make the money that you need.
And I love that balance.
The parents need to hear that as much as the kid does.
Yep. That's what Ava did this summer, right?
Yep.
So she worked.
Exactly. We got her something very specific that was a divine intervention. It worked right at that time where it was extremely interesting for her in this moment. Plus, she was making the money down the shore that she loves to do. And 100%. She was getting to do the things that still fill her bucket and keep her young. And the truth is, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Let's not add pressure.
Right.
Instead, let's help them survive the next few stages of really hard things.
Yeah.
Right.
And I want to add one more thing to what Jamie was saying, like about the Macy's internship, or I don't remember what's the one that Ava applied to. They take one intern, right? Like, can we try to, and it's hard in our society. I think it's especially hard where we live in the Northeast outside of Manhattan. Can we try to let go of the name? Because I have had name brand luxury bags that really don't do a great job serving their purpose. And then I've had bags, like this is my metaphor. I've had bags that are so functional from Amazon and get the job done.
Agree.
Let's forget the name. Like, let's forget. And this is hard.
That is what happens though. Like, it's a natural.
Like if they don't get that internship or that job at those top 5 fashion companies, like we're going to get an internship.
Or the top 5 banks.
Right.
By the way,
who cares?
Awesome, but like, it's okay that it's not that job.
Also, let's have like a really deep moment. Let's do like a little inventory. Now, granted, we're talking in this conversation about wellness and emotional security and understanding who we are as people. We're not talking about the unspoken character flaw or character in the storyline called New York and money. Okay. Yeah. We're not talking about that.
Yeah.
However, what I want to say is let's talk about in our big bad grown-up world, how many big bad grown-ups work at some of those major companies, are our peers, and are happy and having a lifestyle that we admire or want. I'll wait.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm not shaming anyone that has been super successful at JP Morgan all these years. You do you.
Picture.
Right. That would never have been for me. Now, granted, for me, the little ego things that have gone on, and I'm human too, that I didn't take a certain course, or that I wasn't the CEO that I thought I was going to be, or that I ran a smaller company, or that I wasn't on the private plane in the meeting on the Today Show. Yes, my ego still bothers me that way. It does, because it's human.
But tell me the but.
I have raised my children. I have helped thousands of people, and I am impactful in my communities in ways that I know how to be, and I would not change that for anything.
Yep. Mic drop. That's it. You just said it. You just
Yes.
wrapped it up, right? I mean, that's
By the way,
what we have to remember.
I worked at the big guy too. Okay. And I'm not saying I worked at Time Warner, at Turner Broadcasting, which now is Warner Discovery, one of the largest media companies and conglomerates in the world, had all the benefits, had the cafeteria. It was awesome. I'm not saying there's working for the man is not awesome also, and there are ways in, and the networking tips that we teach, you could get those internships also. I'm not saying you can't, or jobs, or going back to work.
And that is fun to do in your 20s. It is.
It is fun to experience both, but that's not the only thing that exists. So I think one of the things that we like to remind people, job and career and where you work and what you do is an abyss. I said that earlier. There's so many incredible things you could be doing. And one of the things that if you listen to nothing else I've said today, every single person at any company that you could ever want to work for is accessible to you now in one click. They're all on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Okay. The CEO, the CMO, the head of HR, all these people are accessible to you. And most people, if not almost all, would never think to write them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is the key.
Yep.
You can find anyone you'd ever want to work for, have a virtual coffee with someone, make a connection with someone that you would never have thought to do. And that likely, not always, is the answer. Yeah. Networking and making human connection is how we stand out. It is how we find meaningful work at companies. I don't care which. If your dream job is to work at Sephora, or you want to work for one of the brands that Sephora now carries, people say that to me all the time. My dream is to work in beauty. I'm like, okay, let's go on the Sephora website and you go to brands. There are 300 brands listed on the Sephora website. If you are not following all of those brands on LinkedIn and on Instagram and connecting to the people who work there in junior level positions, you are not doing enough. Mm-hmm. That is just a dream. That is just a dream. It was only just a dream.
I know. I was just thinking the same thing.
It's just a dream. Because at the end of the day, your dreams are actionable. We just don't know how to do it, and no one's teaching you. So that's what we're doing.
And you need someone, which is, I think, what I do, to coach you through that fear, to get over that fear and the imposter syndrome, and be open-minded, be open-hearted, and trust and trust that when you have something you want to do, and when you're passionate about it, and when you want to make human connection, Jamie, you hit the nail on the head, because I think having a heart-centered business and really honoring human connection and being brave enough to I email people that I think would never answer me, and I've gotten responses, to be brave enough to do that. All those things combined with your know-how of how to make the connections and get creative, I think is the key.
That's exactly what it is. And I think most of the time, and just to kind of say one quick thing, I want to make sure that's clear. You kind of talked about it a little bit before. People have to be ready when they come to us. Yeah. Okay. When we talk to somebody that we feel is not quite there, we will refer back to someone like Janine, right? There are times where people need to go through a little bit of therapy or life coaching before they're ready to make this change and move. Because
by the way, that's also okay.
Also okay.
Totally.
Because we do a little bit of the life coaching on the front end, but at the end of the day, we are not life coaches, nor do we say we are. We are professional huggers. We are job search strategists. We are former recruiters. We are a lot of things. We are not life coaches or therapists. We tend to play one on TV sometimes, but we are not them. And so if we feel like we're out of our depths, or we feel like somebody needs a little bit of extra, we are the first to say so. And we have an arsenal of people we work with that we will refer out to. It's rare, but it has happened, because when people come to us, they are ready to go. They want to write a resume.
They know they've experienced, if you're a certain age, they're experiencing the itch. They want direction. They don't know how to get started. They're
ready to rock. They're ready.
Yeah. And what our overall, we get
stuck.
people. Yes.
But you help them get unstuck.
That's
we
exactly
help them get unstuck. So I always say, and we're in the right modality right now. I say that the Dreamcatchers professionally is my Reiki.
Yeah.
This is my Reiki.
Yep.
Okay. We help people get from home base to halfway to home. So,
Yeah.
past third. Okay. The goal is that you get yourself to score.
Yeah.
Okay. But
Mhm.
we get you where you're ready to go. So when you come to us, I also, God, Jamie and I, you and we speak in like constant analogy. It's so annoying. Imagine we
I
were
love it.
translating this into a
I'm here
different
for
language.
it.
People would be like, what? We're an ATM. You know what you're doing. You're coming over to us. You're putting your card in. You're saying, I want $70 in fives. Okay. And you're getting something out. We are a transactional partnership with a beginning, middle, and a goal for your end.
Yep.
So we do at our intake, we can tell if that person needs to go back to Janine.
Yeah.
We can.
Yeah.
And I'm the first. I'm super sensitive. I lead our dream intuition piece. I can tell.
Yep.
And that's also
Yeah.
okay. There is no shame, there is no stigma in needing more. But for the most part, if you are just feeling the feels and you don't know how to get out of your own way, I can get you out.
Yeah, exactly.
I just need to know that you're ready to get out.
Right.
Exactly
The readiness.
right.
There's a difference.
Yeah. So if somebody, I'm going to put everything in the show notes, but if somebody wants to connect with you guys, tell us what's the best way to reach out.
Best way to reach us is actually through our website or our Instagram. Instagram is __ the Dreamcatchers. Our website is www.thedreamcatchers.life, which, by the way, was what was available to us when we got it. And we love it because we are changing people's lives. So we are like, why is .life a thing? Who knew? And we're loving it. So it's thedreamcatchers.life or _ at the Dreamcatchers. Or
if you are a parent, and by the way, on our social media,
or you can email us hi at thedreamcatchers.life.
Okay.
On our social media, you will see most of our marketing is targeted toward that college or new grad.
And you can find
that's because that's just where we are in marketing right now. Wink, all people. Okay. We all understand marketing is a thing. So that's what we're marketing. We can help all people. Most of our clients are our peers. Let's be fair. We're just not talking about that on social as much. But if you are, what you will see through our website or our Instagram is our link for our calendar. Our consultations are free. If you are a parent, you can do that consultation without your kid. You can do that consultation with your kid. You can do that consultation for your kid, where your kid's alone with us. Okay. We've done it all different ways. If you are the job seeker, I can't wait to see you.
Yeah.
And we actually, our marketing right now is that we're not supposed to be speaking to both people at the same time. So whoopsie daisy.
That's okay.
I feel like this is a different experience where we're explaining.
It is, because this clientele
is both.
Absolutely.
So you can imagine everybody out there that they're like, oh, the girls that are younger than us and smarter than us, and we lean on them because we need them. But they want us talking to students when we're talking to students, and we're talking to adults when we're talking to adults. Thank you for showing up and letting us do all of those things in this call.
Yes.
And understanding the different pieces of it. So I look forward to hearing from your community. We're very accessible. Any friend of Janine is a friend of ours. And, let's get going.
Yeah. And last thing I want to say is I'm so jealous listening to when you guys were, talking about the symbiotic relationship of being sisters and having the more intuitive and like the more logistical. I need a Jamie. I don't have a sister.
So let me tell you something. You hit the nail on the head.
Into Peace and Plenty and be my other half, let me know, because it's a little tough doing both. I'm so jealous.
Everyone needs a Jamie, and I'm not sharing.
I love it.